Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another reset update. Now, unexpectedly, because they shared no dates, Solstice of Heroes has begun, and with that is a summer event that lasts the usual 3 weeks. It'll come with lots of new glowing armor, possibly a new stat-focused armor farm, as well as a new weapon and the return of the variety of Solstice weapons to farm for, but just for these 3 weeks only. But getting into the world broader of Destiny, of course, I will cover Solstice its own unique video, and I will be covering the patch, as this was a sort of mid-season patch, but not in these videos, in their own respective videos. Moving into what's happening more with the week, of course, with the Solstice active, it seems they're adding a free Bright Dust gift at Eververse currently, that there is a free gift of 350 Bright Dust every week for the next 9 weeks. So roughly, if I'm remembering math, at least 2,700 Bright Dust. I almost said Glimmer. In the current active boosters right now, it is double Gambit ranks in the time where I think barely anybody is going to be banning Gambit because they're going to be working on Solstice. Speaking of Solstice, they did seem to bring back the Bonfire Bash. It isn't just the basic European aerial zone like before, it is the weird Bonfire Bash where you have to throw the taking balls at the big pyre, which, at least according to a few of my friends, they are definitely tired of and prefer the basic EAZ, but we will just have to wait and see. For the weekly Nightfall, this week it is the Fallen Saber, which is one of the most farmable Grandmaster Nightfalls available, and it works out because the additional bow is the Prey Astyanax. I said that in a weird way, but the weapon is the bow of the Prey Astyanax 4, which, why it might not be the best bow on Earth, it is certainly a potent addition, especially when you get the right rolls, and the fact that you can add some adept mods to it, which, according to Bungie, soon adept mods will be improved past just being a bigger bonus. With that being said, I definitely would recommend farming, or at least farming out the GM for Ascendant materials, because this GM is certainly an easy one to get through. Then, in terms of the Crucible stuffs, we have Labs currently active being Havoc Supremacy, which again, it is sort of Mayhem Supremacy, but not so much Mayhem. Then 6v6 is Clash and Control, the basics. 3v3 is Elimination and Competitive, also the basics. And as always, 1v6 free-for-all in Rumble. Into our game rotators. The current available exotic mission is the Presage mission, which will give you access to the Dead Man's Tale exotic scout rifle, as well as any of the weapons from Season of the Haunted, which does include some of the revamped Menagerie weapons. In addition to the old Haunted weapons, get some red borders for you, as some of the best red borders still in the game, or the best craftable weapons, I should say, come from these sets of weaponry. On that same front, the raid is the Garden of Salvation, probably the least farmable raid on the list, as there is a quest-based exotic, not a random drop exotic, and there is no red borders to farm from this, as well as no master mode to get adept weaponry or adept armor from. So if you wanted to get a few good rolls of the weapons before maybe a refresh, this is the time, but aside from that, I wouldn't say run it unless you literally are running it because all challenges are active and you need that for your seal. On that same note, the Salvation's Edge challenge week has officially ended, so it is back to just one Salvation's Edge challenge. But before I actually get into that, the other farming dungeon actually right now is Pit of Heresy, which equally so is exotic as quest base, and there is no hard mode, there's no artifice armor, there is some decent enough weaponry, but not anything unique enough to warrant farming unless you just really like that one gun for some reason. But like I said earlier, the Salvation's Edge challenge week is once again no longer active, which means it is back to just one challenge at a time, and it is the At Capacity challenge, which I think is the first encounter. I am not keeping up with Salvation's Edge at all because I haven't had a good dedicated team as of late. That being said, going into the raid challenge variety, for Crota's End, it still is a bit buggy, and Crota's End does not have a challenge. I don't know if this is something intentional, as it has been a few weeks, and I've seen no mention of this in the busted bug reports on This Week in Destiny. Then for Root of Nightmares, we have the All Hands Challenge, which is Nezarec Challenge. King's Fall is under construction, which I believe was the Daughters Challenge, thinking off the top of my head. Vow Disciple is Swift Destruction, which is First Encounter Abomination Challenge. Vault of Glass is Ensemble's Refrain, which is Atheon's Challenge. Deepstone Crypt is the Of All Trades Challenge, which is Nuclear Descent, Third Encounter. And Last Wish is the Keep Out Challenge. And again, unfortunately, don't know that last one. For the focused armor on master modes, Salvation's Edge is currently resilience focused, and as there is no other sort of focused master mode available, that is all you can get for raid armor farming. From there, Dares of Eternity is currently in the Hive, Vex, and Ballista are for Legend versions. On that note, going into our seasonal challenge tab. Of course, as the weeks goes on, there is more to do. And on that same note, there is, of course, Solstice stuff to worry about, but I will get into that in its own respective video. We reached week 10, which I can't tell if this is the last week we will get. It's typically the last week we'll get of challenges, but it has definitely slowed down as this is the smallest week of challenges available. The first one being available is acquire the perfect pitch ritual weapon. If you don't know how to get that, visit any of the ritual vendors and essentially just play until you unlock it. It typically requires one whole rank reset. Then there's Fleeting Glory for completing Crucible matches in the competitive playlist, bonus progress for wins. Then the mid-range calibration for calibrating mid-range weapons, including hand cannons, glaives, auto rifles, fusion rifles, and machine guns, bonus progress granted for each defeated guardian specifically. And then the Cosmodrome activities, which is in the Cosmodrome, earn progress by completing bounties, patrols, public events, and lost sectors. Now, once again, to reiterate, there is a large patch. I will be going over that in the respective video, and I also will be covering what details come with Solstice, as they always do, in its own respective video. So if you're looking for that, that is not going to be here. Skipping towards the Solstice bits. Now, the Solstice bits. The important thing to note is there is a few things that is Crucible, cosmetic specific. I'm just messing up all the words. If you visit the cosmetics store right now, there's a bunch of stuff that is only available during the Solstice, which I will also cover the new items in that respective video. But just know, almost everything in the store right now, including past Solstice bundles, will be available only for the next 3 weeks. If you wish to claim anything from this store, anything summer related for your Guardian, you have to do it now. Otherwise, it will no longer be here once the 3 weeks are again up. 2 Tuesdays from now. I think that's right. However, going into the main front page, we have some shaders from the Solstice Pomegranate Gloss, which I think is back from a year 1. It has an interesting look to it. The color combination isn't too terrible. It's just a bit of a weird, wavy, almost Damascus type look, but also hard to tell the design until you're really looking at it. Then we also have Raising Seafoam, which I can't tell if this is new or old, but it is animated. As I can see in the blue areas, it looks definitely like a rushing river is active on the armor. Might actually recommend that for some folks. And we also have the celebratory entrance, which I can't tell when this is going to be exactly from. It seems like it might be new, as this is the first of the new transmats I've seen in a while. I know Bungie got a bit lax on making new ones. And classic from the year 1 of Solstice, the Predator Sun Shell. At one time, I think this was the most sought after ghost shell in Destiny, back from the first year. And I can see why back then, but now it's just kind of, you know, a little spiky. That's about it. And we have the Sweltering Heat emote, again from the Solstice set. So if you want this for Bright Disc, claim it now. Otherwise, this will disappear when Solstice ends, and you will have to get it via silver before then. Moving into the main store for some flares and shaders, we have Vintage Timber from the Solstice events of past, which it actually kind of matches what the shader preview looks like up there, as it is struggling to, there we go. It is a bit of a silver, a kind of yellowish gold. It definitely looks good as a suit of armor or knight-like colors. There's no better way for me to really describe that. We also have Oiled Algae, which just kind of looks white-ish. It's kind of, again, hard to describe. There's white with a little bit of, it's almost a copy of Vintage Timber, but just of lighter hues, now that I think of it. Bruised Blush from Season of the Undying, which is one of the ones that look a little bit more purple pinkish, and it has a weird kind of almost diamond plate texture to it, looking a little bit hardened, but at the same time, it is basically just a pink and a blue, if you want to tell people it's a girl, essentially. Then with Welded Brass from Season of the Dawn, which is the Saint 14 initial respawn season. This is one that doesn't look very good on basic armor, but if you have any glowing elements, this one really pops out. It has a very vibrant glowing purple, as you can see in its preview, which I would show, but I don't have the right armor for it. For a transmat, another Solstice one, which is one of them probably most graphically interesting, the Sandcastle effects. Then the Shocking entrance, which again is Solstice popping out of a lightning strike. And lastly, the Baroque entrance, which actually, now that I look at it, looks exactly like that other transmat, just literally recolored from earlier. Into the big ticket items, we have Building Castles, which is a multiplayer emote of you and a friend building a sandcastle together. And I can't wait to see how it goes crashing down. Oh, it just kind of, simple end. And we also have the Righteous emote, which is basically just the average surfer bra for hang loose, you know, if you so wish. The Quadcopter shell from Solstice, I think this is a new one because I don't recall seeing it before, but it's basically turning your ghost into a drone to just kind of hang out. Then the Well-Traveled Jump Ship, which I again, it's hard to remember if this is old or new, but it basically just looks like an RV camper van that sprouted wings. It looks very Spaceballs now that I think of it. And the Off My Lawn, which you can guess what that would be in the sparrow form. Yes, it is a lawnmower sparrow. For when you have the power of God. If you get that meme reference, you are among my favorite people. But it is just refusing to load. Perfect. The meme reference doesn't land. Come back to that later. And we have from the past Solstice event, the Beach Header 6, for Merciless, which gave it a solid look for Merciless, considering back then it was just a nice cyan blue. I forget the color scheme, but it was a nice blue shade, and then this gives it a bit of a scorched out, blacked out look, which I do still prefer over basic Merciless. And lastly, as always, the Vacation projection, which is just a ghost projection that most people will probably ignore. And just seeing if it will load, the Get Off My Lawn Power of God special. It's not loading. I'll throw a picture up here in case I remember it during editing. However, with that is the end of the reset update. It is short and simple, as I am trying to keep it down in time. From there, I just hope that you can, of course, learn anything and keep up to date with the World of Destiny as it comes. With that, again, I will be covering the patch in a separate video and what Solstice is in its own little unique respective video, and possibly ways to farm it later once I actually put some effort into it. But as a little end card, I just want to note for anyone like me who has already completed the event prior or 1 year and collected all 16 triumphs, you don't need to get the original 16 as always. You just have to do the secret triumphs that when they get revealed once you progress far enough into the intro quest. And with that, my name is TheMadScorpyon, and I will see you in the next video.